Hi guys, good morning. I hope you're all okay. I'm sorry I am a few minutes late. I'll explain it all in a minute. Okay, so we're going to be doing knotted seed bead macrame bracelets today. They're absolutely beautiful. We've got some amazing bundles on our seed beads. Now we're using our FGB seed beads today, which means you are getting huge value for money bundles. I'm going to show you all the deals on the website in a moment. I am sorry about the background noise. Our kitchen is coming out today and I was trying to leave it there. John's almost finished and I just couldn't quite leave it long enough. I didn't want to leave you all hanging, so I thought if you can hear some stuff going on in the background, it'll be okay. At least we're here together. Good morning everyone, how are you all? Good morning Dee, hi Helen, Debbie, Linda. Got lots of you already, goodness. Good morning Jan, hi Karen, Chris, Anne, morning Ruth. So seed bead macrame. Now you may recognise these knots, they are square knots. I wanted to show you a couple of different variations, a few top tips, because it is quite an involved make. There is a lot of prep, but we've got tools today to be able to make that a little bit easier for you as well. So I'm going to turn you down, I'm going to show you the bundles, turn you down onto the mat, show you the bundles, and then we'll get cracking because it's a little bit of a longer one today. Okay, I'm going to lift you up nice and high to begin with, so that I can show you a few different things. Now, if you head onto our website, and I'm going to do this because I know a lot of you like to go and get your materials first of all, and there's a few different things we're going to be using today. So just as usual, go to the website, go to the home page once it's deciding to load, and then down on the left hand side there is a little category section. If you haven't signed up to our newsletter, that little box just reminded me, then do, because you will get notifications and emails on all of our deals, our lives, our TV shows. Okay, so today is the seed bead macrame. Now, I've got the most amazing bundles. Thank you, Kitty and Simon. We were just chatting about what we were going to do with these. There are 4 different colorways for today, and I'm going to show you those colors in a moment. There is a green one, obviously my favorite one. I had to pick one for me. Very sort of khaki greens. In these bundles, you are getting 150 grams of seed beads, which is absolutely huge. And as you can see with the bracelets that we're going to be making, you do need a lot. So your 3 colours of green, so that's very much a sort of khaki colour, colourway, £12.50 down to £9.99. That's your khaki. We also have monochrome, and I'll show you all of these in the flesh in a moment. Monochrome, pink, teal, and then the essential bits and pieces. Now the clasps aren't in here yet, but they will be. This might just be because I loaded this page before we went live. We've got 3 different types of bead spinners. Now if this is the kind of thing that you are looking for to be making, a seed bead spinner is going to be amazing in terms of prep. You can get a mini one for £3.99 if you know you're not going to use it very often and you just want something to maybe help with 1 or 2 makes. That's a good one to go. If your budget will allow, we've also got the motorized bead spinner, so you put batteries in it. I should have got mine out the cupboard. You put batteries in it and that will automatically spin around, so you don't have to manually spin it. That is in there as well. From Beadsmith, and then we've also got the wooden one as well, which is the one that I'm going to be using today. Now it comes with your needle, and this is going to be essential if you're using a thinner monofilament, and your monofilament is in there as well. Now we do also do the monofilament in a 0.5mm, which is a bit thicker. So if you are looking for a thicker bracelet, which is the one that I've got here, this is done on a 0.5mm monofilament, it's going to give you a much more rigid finish, okay? So you can see that it's holding together. The monofilament that I'm going to use today is 0.25, so a little bit thinner, and it's just a little bit more fluid, which I prefer. I didn't want it too big, and this is what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to show you the colorways very quickly. This is your teal. We've got these gorgeous 3 colours. Now you can either make individual bracelets with them, or you could start mixing and matching. You could do a little bit of an ombre finish on them. They're absolutely amazing. And as you can see, you're going to get 150 grams. So you'll get 50 grams of each of the colours. think I've got 100 grams here. You're going to get 50 grams of each of the colours, but as you can see, the value for money is amazing. $9.99. These are an FGB seed bead, so they aren't your Toho quality or Miyuki, so you wouldn't, although I have used them for weaving and they still look nice. I'm going to show you just how uniformed they actually are, but they aren't as irregular as a craft seed bead. So craft seed beads are very often used for things that don't need precision. So you wouldn't use them for your weaving. Sometimes you'd use them for your stringing. And here is your monochrome. So you're going to get your silver, your black and your white. So they are your colorways for today. So decant your beads into your bead spinner. Like so. Now I've missed loads of comments while I've been showing you all of this, but I know Kitty will be watching, so she'll be answering any of your questions. Are these the Chinese cheap beads? No, Jane, they're not. They're an in-between. So your cheaper craft beads are very irregular. If you have a look in here, you can see just how regular these actually are. This is in my green colourway. This is the lighter khaki colour. With your craft beads, they are very irregular. And with your Toho, of course, they are precise for your weaving. But can you see here, I've still got beautiful strands. Some of them will be a little irregular, so they're an in-between bead, which will allow you to actually have a nice neat finish. It's still going to give you a nice neat finish, but not as precise as you would need with your weaving. But because we're stringing them and we're knotting them, we don't need that exact precision in your finish. Therefore, the value for money bags in these is amazing. Now, if you are going to be using thicker monofilament, you are going to have to load them up by hand. So I'm just going to check that I'm not missing anything. Natalie says she loves the colours of the first bags. Yeah, that is the one for me. I can see lots of you just saying hello and good morning. Amazing. If you've got, oh, Angela says, morning, Sarah, so busy watching. I almost forgot to say hello. Hello, Angela, good morning. I was so busy talking, I forgot to say hello as well. Now, the clasps that are going to be in there as well. You've got an amazing bundle. You're going to get a set of 4 of the barrel clasps. So you will get 2 of your silver and 2 of your gold. You can either make bracelets with these, or of course you could make necklaces as well. And as you can see, they've got the glue-in cap on the bottom. So you've got that lovely little domed cap. That's where we're going to hide all of our knots and the beads at the very beginning. Now, if you're going to use your monofilament, which is a little bit thicker, you're going to have to thread them on by hand, which is a little bit more time consuming. You're going to have to thread them on as a needle. Now, you can take your cutters, if I just lean over and get mine, you can take your cutters and you can actually cut this to a needle-like point. So if you're finding that they're not going on very well, take your cutters, snip it in at an angle, and then you're going to be able to pick them up straight from your mat, she says, straight from your mat and pop them on. Now, obviously, we are going to need a lot here, which is why your seed bead spinner is going to be so amazing. But because I'm using an easy eye needle, I have gone down in my monofilament size. So if you want thicker, you're going to have to thread them on by hand. If you want to go thinner on your monofilament, I'm going to show you using my easy eye needle, which will come in the packs with your spinners, by the way. If you've already got them, please do let me know, because bead spinners absolutely changed my life with my beading. As you know, I make a lot of the French beaded flowers, and I just wouldn't have the time to be able to commit to it unless I had the bead spinner. So your easy eye needles, as you can see, the whole body actually opens up. So it's nice and easy to thread in, and the needles have a hook on the bottom. Now your spinners will come with them. I actually made this one out of one of the easy eye needles that come in my toolkits. You get a little case with 3 of them in there. And I just used my round nose pliers to actually bend it into a curve. So you want that fish hook finish, because when we put this into our spinner, you're going to see how amazing it is in terms of cutting down that preparation time. And for me, I just wouldn't have the time. As you know, I work for quite a few companies. They do the telly, we're doing these Facebook Lives, we're in the middle of renovating our house and doing all of that up. Unfortunately, I just wouldn't be able to make something like this and dedicate the hours to it. Now, if you're looking for something that will pass a bit of time and you would like to commit yourself to a day, then obviously something like that is going to be really lovely, because the prep time is quite therapeutic. So with your needle, you want the tip of your needle to be sitting inside the bowl of your bead spinner, and it's going to be coming into contact. So you want the beads to be spinning in the direction to come into contact with your beads. If I was going to spin this anti-clockwise, it's not going to go. Spinning it clockwise, you're going to get into contact with your beads. Now, if you are left-handed, of course, you'll go you'll go clockwise. If you're right-handed, I'm going to hold the needle with my right hand, and I hold it like a pen. So at the top, I'm holding with my index finger and my thumb, and my middle finger is going to stabilize and move the needle to wherever I need it to be. Margaret says, I need to replace my needle. Are they available, please? We will have easy eye needles on the website. I'm not sure if we have the fishhook ones. I'll get Kitty to reply to you. So I'm going to hold it like a needle, stabilize with my middle finger, and then you'll see as I spin this and I dip that needle into the tray, look at these beads that fly up the needle. Now, because it is a hook, if I stop and lift it up, they're going to fall off and fall out. So as I'm spinning, I just hold the end of the needle, and then because I've already threaded on my monofilament, I will just move those down and they will go straight onto my cord. Now, occasionally you'll get one that's stuck, so just wiggle those backwards, and you'll see within just a couple of seconds, I've picked up multiple seed beads at once. So just popping that in, and if you find that beads aren't going up your needles, change the direction. You'll see I'm moving it around. Change the speed. Very often, if you go that little bit faster, you'll get more. And then just grabbing that hook and moving them up and straight onto your thread. So prep wise, we need a lot. You're going to need 3 strands that will be the required length of your bracelet, plus probably about 4 inches, because you're going to want space to be able to tie your knots top and bottom, and I will show you this in a moment. And then you're going to need 6 strands that are 4 to 5 times the length of your bracelet, because we're actually going to knot with these. Now, it's a bit excessive. You wouldn't need as much, but everybody's tension with your knots is going to be slightly different. Leanne says, I'm left-handed, but I think I would be able to do it your way too. Yeah, you're basically just holding it like a pen. I can do it left-handed as well. Now I've said that, I probably won't be able to. But again, you can just hold it as your needle. Hold it like a pen. Use that middle finger to stabilise. Into the middle there. Oh yeah, look, see, I can do it left-handed too. It's just getting the dexterity right to be able to twiddle your fingers to get it facing onto the outside. So you always want your needle to be in the deepest part. Oh, there you go. Look, I'm an ambidextrous spinner. You always want your needle to be facing into the deepest part of your bowl. So if you go for the mini one, obviously you're going to be able to use less seed beads. If you're going for the larger ones, then you'll probably need to pour your whole bag in there. And you can see I'm just angling that around just so I'm skimming those beads. You'll get a couple of stray ones because I tend to spin them quite fast. It's like the law of averages, isn't it? The faster it goes, the more beads you come into contact with, the more you're going to pick up. So I'm probably only skimming the surface, but you can move around so that it goes into the deepest part. And as you do this, you're going to get an amazing amount of beads. Now, I've only been doing this for a couple of minutes. And you can see I've already got all of these prepped. So in terms of opening up the ability to be able to to be able to quickly string beads, for things like your bead stringing, you're going to be really fast. You don't have to do it by hand. Obviously, for this one, we need lots and lots. Now, once you've got the required lengths, leave a few inches up at the top. Take your first seed bead, And I'm going to create a stopper bead very similarly to how we do with our weaving, but our monofilament is a lot more slippy, it's slidey compared to our thread, so I'm actually going to knot it into place. So I'm going to have that one bead, and you're going to have to excuse, the monofilament of course is meant to be invisible, so it's tricky to show you on a video, but hopefully you can see it enough. I'm just going to knot this bead into place, like so, and I'm going to do a second knot as well. So that is going to give me a stopper bead, meaning that none of my beads are going to come off of the monofilament while I'm working with it. Okay, so this one is in place. Then you'll bring down your beads and start measuring up the amounts that you need. So remember, and if I bring you over here to one that I've already prepped, let's get my monofilament out of the way. You're going to need 3 that are the length of your bracelet, so your required length of your bracelet. And these 3 are going to be in the middle. Get this one out of the way a sec. So I've got 3 down the very centre, and they are the length of my bracelet. And then I've got 3 on either side, so 6 in total, that are 4 to 5 times the length of my bracelet. Okay, so you can see the prep it doesn't have to be labour intensive if you have your bead spinner, but you do need a lot of them. Once you've got the right length of them, and I'm just going to use the beads that I've got here, but you're going to measure them all up. We're going to do exactly the same thing with this end bead, but I need it to be in the exact place so that I don't have any gaps in between any of my beads. So with my very final bead, we'll do that first loop a little bit larger, like so. And then I'm just going to put in the end of my needle into that circle, and I'm going to take that right up to, so butting it right up to the end of my beads, making sure that there aren't any gaps in the rest of my strand. And then I can remove that needle from the knot, and that bead will be exactly in the place I want it to be at the very end. Now this one will move because I've only done 1 knot, so I'm going to take my strand over, holding it into place in between those 2 beads, coming through the middle and holding that in place. You see with my thumb, I'm just holding that in place so that it captures that bead, pulling that nice and tightly, and now I've got a stopper bead at both ends and no gaps in between any of my beads. Okay, so now comes the fun bit. We're going to get knotting with them. So that is all of your prep. Now, I would recommend that you leave gluing on your clasp to the very end. I just wanted to do it so that I can show you the sort of finish that you're going to get with them. So I have then knotted together all 9 of my strands, 3 the length of my bracelet, 6 the 4 to 5 times the length of my bracelet, depending on your tension. If you go for 5, you can always take the beads off at the end. We've only knotted it on, so we can just slide that bead off, and then you can take off your leftover beads. I've taken all 9 of my strands and knotted them all together. I did 3 knots, and then I have put glue into the cap of my clasp, sticking that in with your pliers, and I've also made sure that a couple of my beads are captured inside. If you've got any excess glue, I used the 6000. You could use your Hypo Cement, you could use Fevikwik, you could use your Gorilla Glue, anything like that. I like this one because it peels off very easily. Fevikwik I tend to get in a bit of a mess with, glued my fingers together so many times. With this one, if you get in a mess on the outside, it will just come off and you can clean it up really beautifully. You can also use a little cotton bud, like a little makeup cotton bud, with a little bit of nail polish remover, and you can just brush out the outsides. Marie says, can I use craft seed beads, or are these the posh seed beads? These ones are middle class. They're not quite posh and they're not your cheap and cheerfuls. These ones are in the middle. You could use craft beads, but you're not going to get the same finish. So if you don't want it to look as precise, then of course you could use your inexpensive beads. If you have amazing supplies of your posh beads, you could use those too. But with these, you need the value for money to try and keep that cost down. Okay, so I'm going to use my macrame board. I've just inserted my clasp into the very middle so that will keep this into place. And then down at the bottom, you'll see I've got all 3 of my strands of my monofilament here, and I'm just going to use that to then embed into the very bottom of the board. So that will just slide down, and that's why you need to leave some of your extra, because you want it to be able to reach the length of your board, and that's why I would suggest not cutting them first and adding your clasp on, because you're still going to have all of that extra. Now, I'm hoping I'm not going to get into a knotty mess. I would normally do this on my lap with my board angled up, so that I also have the space. I've got these just draping off the side of the table, so I'm hoping we're not going to get in too much of a knot. But now we're going to do square macrame knots, okay? So I'm going to create a number 4 with my 3 strands on the left. So I'm taking it over the very middle and creating that number 4. With my strands on my right, I'm now going to place them over here, and we're going to go underneath the circle, underneath the tightrope, and moving them up into the circle that we created with our number 4. Pulling all of these through. And if any of you have done the Shambhala bracelets, macrame bracelets, then you will recognize these knots. Now, you want to make sure that your threads are nice and tight, and that's going to give you the best finish, and hopefully not crossing over as well. Can you see how now it's giving me a lovely knot? Now I'm going to reverse it and go the other way. So I'm going to take my right strands, do a backwards number 4, like so, and I'm going to try and keep these in their lined up order, because that's going to give me a really nice neat finish. Then I'm going to take my left strand, we'll go over these, underneath that tightrope, and up into the circle. Pulling those through. And again, if you get any of these little stray strands that haven't quite come through, just pull them and you will find the loose one, and that will neaten it up and keep it nice and straight. Okay, now, whatever side your little loop is on, it's quite funny doing it like this, because I've taught you so many macrame knots. We've done lots of these bracelets, and a lot of the time it's hard to see because your threads are so thin that you can't actually see how the knot is formed. So where you get this loop over the top, so you'll see here, I've got my cords coming out of the center. Where you get your loops on the left-hand side, I'm going to start with whatever side my loop is on, okay? So again, now we'll go left, placing it into a number 4, taking the right over the strand I've just placed, and then we're going to go underneath that tightrope, up into that circle. Pulling them all through. Oh, sorry, camera wobble. And I'm just running these strands through my hands. Again, we've got a naughty loose one. You'll just pull each one of them until you find it. And the same in your center. Make sure that all of your strands are nice and tight. Just tighten up this little loop up here. There we go. And you'll see that it's starting to look really lovely. So again, now I've got this loop over on the right-hand side. So I'm going to go onto the right. Hang on, guys, my glasses. It would help if I had them on my head, wouldn't it? Getting all caught up. Right. Right strand over the middle. Left over this one. Underneath your tightrope. And up into that circle, and you can just start to. You'll find your own little technique. You know, you'll get into the swing of it. Obviously, you've got lots of strands to be playing with. I'm being reasonably delicate with them. You might want to tighten up that tightrope center occasionally as well, just to keep that nice and strong. And then it's really just a case of continuing and making sure you're getting a really lovely, precise finish. I think it's really nice to be able to use seed beads as a feature. So many times, unless you're doing weaving projects, we use them as stoppers, as fillers, and with the value for money that you're getting with these, the colours are absolutely beautiful. And I do find A lot of you are saying about craft seed beads as well. Craft beads don't tend to have the amazing finishes that some of your other beads do. Because, of course, they are value for money. They're cheap and cheerful. Again, I'm just checking the side that my loop is on. So we'll go over to this one. So you don't tend to get the finishes, whereas here we have silver lined, we've got a matte finish. I absolutely love this khaki green. Of course, you've got your pearlescent white that will be in your monochrome selection. And can you see how these knots are coming together? I think it's just amazing. I think it looks really lovely. You do want to make sure that, did I say my eyes would be better on my head? Oh, I meant my glasses. I'm very sorry. Guys, I'm having one of these days. How so early in the morning can I be having one of these days? I tried to make myself a cup of coffee a minute ago without boiling the kettle. Does not work. You want to make sure that there aren't any gaps in your beads when you have made your strands, because as you can see, they're all sitting really beautifully and neatly. If you had gaps in them, you're going to have not as neat a finish. And this is going to give us a lovely solid finish with our beads. I'm just tightening up this bottom section here. I'm just going to keep on going with the knots, guys, so that you can see the end result as well. Lucy says, love this. I want to try to do this one, but I'm rubbish with macrame. I actually find that this is an easier way of introducing yourself to it because everything is bigger. With macrame, it's your smaller cords. You can see that here, your knots are all visible. Everything's that little bit easier. It all slides a bit easier as well. So your loose strands, like I'm talking about here, if any of them come out of place, it's very simple to just keep on going with them. Did I go the wrong side there? No. It's very easy to correct it, to keep it right. And of course, visually, you can see your knot in a lot more detail. Did I go the wrong side on that one? Yeah, I must have done. I knew this would happen. I'm going to get distracted. And Lucy, look, if you go wrong, it's very easy to go back and correct yourself. I think I used the wrong side first. Yeah, I did. So keep an eye on those loops and what side they are on, because that is the side that you want to be working on. I must have gone the other way round. So with the knot that we're doing, this is the square knot. This is going to give you a flat piece of jewellery. There we go, that's better. If you wanted to, do you remember a few weeks ago, we were using macrame and we were doing a twisted finish. So this is going back to the crystal oval pendant that we did. So we made a twisted rope. If you would like to, you could also do that with this. So you would just continually work on one side. And then that would give you a twisted rope. Now, your middle beads, like I said, because these are going to be the length of your bracelet, and depending on the tension that you guys use and also the size of beads. So if you're going to be trying this with things that you have at home, I can't guarantee your lengths and everything, because obviously the beads that I'm using are all the size that we have in our bundles with our FGBs. Look at how amazing that looks. I just think it's so pretty. And if you were to gift these, it looks really complicated. And actually, you've seen that with just a few knots, okay, your preparation time is a little bit more involved. If you have your bead spinner, of course, it's going to make it very easy for you. But to give this as a gift, I think it's really impressive because you have quite clearly taken time. And I'm just squashing these down to give me that nice, neat finish. You really have quite clearly taken time to hand make a present, which I think is always well received. And the knots don't take too long to create. obviously when you're concentrating at home, not having to look at a screen, as well as making your knots, then it's going to be easier for you. Now, I went with 5 times the length of my bracelet, so I am going to have lots of leftover beads, but that's fine. We can take those off, we'll undo the knots on the very bottom, and then we will be ready to attach our clasp on. Pulling through each one of those, just remember to keep it nice and neat. There we go. As neat as you can, squashing them all down. And I'm not pulling it so tightly. I'm keeping, you'll see that my tension down the sides are very, very neat. If you were to keep on pulling some of them tighter, some of them looser, you'll have bobbly edges. So I'm just correcting myself, keeping that nice and straight and flat, and pulling them so that they just lock in together. You don't want it so tight that they're going to pucker. Bernie, if you put different colour beads on the ends of the strands on one side, you will know which one to use. That's a great idea. I know that quite a few people do that with macrame, actually. So yeah, putting a different colour. So for example, if I put a pink bead on the end of one strand, whatever side my pink bead is on will be the side that I would then use next. So that's a great top tip. Thank you, Bernie. I always forget about that. Mina, could you do this with 1 strand instead of 3? Yes, you could, but it's going to be very delicate. You could do it with 1 strand, but it's going to be a little bit harder, easier to knot, but harder then to sit as neatly. So you would end up with a very, very fine bracelet. But yeah, of course you can. You could do it with as many as you wanted. You could do it with 5 or 7 or 9 if you wanted. Try and keep to the odd numbers, because then it just sits so much neater and pretty. You can also do this in the ombre. So when Kitty and I were picking the beads for this kit, when I was there in June, that feels like a very long time ago. When I was there in June, we picked out all of our favourite colours from these and got them ready. And we did like little ombre sections so that you could have a different colour running through the middle, of which you will get flashes every time it's crossed over. And then you could do different colours on the outsides as well. So I wanted to be able to give you the ability to bespoke your designs as well. So lots of different colours in there for you. Right, I am nearly at the end. Almost there. And we'll get rid of some of our extra beads and finish off our knots. So as you can see, it comes together really quite quickly. And then of course we've got our lovely clasps just to give it that nice neat finish as well. So I went with 5 times the length of my bracelet. Can you see I've got a little gap there? Just a little gap. So I'm just going to pull it all tight enough, shifting those up and pulling through my strands just to neaten it and finish and close that gap so that I don't have any. I'm going to go with 1 more on here, just to use all of those beads that I've got in my centre spine, because I know that that is the length of my bracelet. So I went with 5 times the amount. You guys could go with 4. Would be enough. I've probably got about 8-9 inches or so as extra, but I would rather have too many and take them away than not enough and have to prep in between. Just going to neaten that one up so that it's in the middle. Let's go with 1 more too. So Kitty is going to be with you tomorrow. Now I'm back in the studios at Create and Craft tomorrow, and then I've got a little promo video to record in the afternoon. So Kitty's going to be with you, and then I'm driving down to Clacton for my next visit. So we're going to be designing all of our kits for the rest of August and for September, because as you know, we are continuing these videos. We love having you with us, as do apparently you all love having us, because you tell us all the time, which we're so grateful of. We absolutely love it. So we're going to continue doing the videos. So Kitty is going to be with you in the morning, and then we'll probably have a few together over the next week. I'm going to be there until Sunday, so we'll be able to do a few. Now, if there's any designs or any techniques that you guys would like us to be covering, do let us know, because we're going to be having our brainstorming sessions. So if there's anything you would specifically like to see, I'm sure we can incorporate it into our designs and into our work. Hold on, getting in a muddle down here with these ones. So let us know, how was your Q&A session on Friday? That was, wasn't it? Unfortunately, because I've been in the studios, I haven't been able, so I've been in the studios since Wednesday last week, so a week. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to watch them, so I haven't been able to pop on and see you all. I must go back at some point this afternoon and have a little look at your Q&A session as well. I hope everyone got their questions answered and all your techniques that you've been telling us you wanted to see. Okay, so I'm right down at the end. You can see how much actually your knots take up, because a moment ago I had several inches spare in my beads. I've done another 2 knots, and I actually only have 2 or 3 inches left on some of these, and I've still got some of the beads down in my middle section. So actually I think I've got enough to go 1 more. It might be a little bit trickier because my threads are all getting a little bit shorter, but let's give it a go. I might do these individually, under and up in. There's 1. There's 2. Oh heck, which one's my third? Where's my third one gone? This one. There we go. And then I know that I have filled all of that centre spine, so I know my bracelet is going to be the right length. Look at how pretty it is. I just love it. I think it just gives such a fluid visual of the knots, which you don't normally get to see in your macrame with just cords. So you can see there, really lovely, and it's going to look nice on as well. Now you could do this as a necklace as well. Camille says more posh drinkies on the veranda. I may know that Kitty has already done a little run of supplies for my visit. I think we're going to have nice weather as well, actually. So, yes, Kitty and I will be... Oh, my goodness, Jax, I hold my breath too. That's so funny. Why is it when you concentrate so hard on something, you hold your breath? I'm very sorry that I made you hold yours as well. Yeah, Kitty and I have lovely little nights out on her veranda, designing our pieces, making bits and pieces, just relaxing after the end of the day, which is so lovely. Now I'm going to knot all of these together to be able to secure my cords on the other end. Ruby says, looks lovely and expensive. I think it does as well, actually, which is ironic because the materials are so inexpensive. What about the idea for earrings in this design? Yes, you could do earrings with these. You could make shorter sections and you could knot the ends. Or, I mean, obviously not in this size, you could make smaller pieces and wrap them around and then join both ends into a cap so that you would have a completed loop as well. So down on the bottom, I'm just going to knot all 3 of these together. These are my 3 centre pieces. And I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose any of them. So I've got all 3 of my cords here. When it comes to knotting your monofilament, a lot of the time I use my pliers to assist. So I will wrap it around my finger and bring that loop off. Hold on, sorry, let me just grab my round nose pliers. And then I will take my round nose pliers through the loop, grab them, rotate my hand around and pull it through. And that will bring through all of those cords because it's easier than trying to squeeze them through with your fingers. So I'm just going to take that all the way down to my bracelet, and I'm going to do this a couple of times. So again, just doing that needle trick, needle in the loop, I'll show you again. So creating that loop on the end of your finger, bring that loop off, round nose pliers front to back, grabbing front to back, grabbing all of those cords, and then I just rotate my wrist, which will pull through all of those threads, leaving that circle nice and open. I'm hoping you can see it in the camera. Leaving it open, putting a needle through, needle right down to your work, and then pulling that knot through. And now I know I've got really nice secure knots on all 3 of my center spine cords there. And then it will be a case of, and I'm not gonna do this while you're all here because it will take me a little while, but I'll do one of them. We're gonna take off our knot down at the end. Now your monofilament, providing you haven't knotted it too tightly, in fact, I've actually got enough here that I'm just gonna take it off and I'm gonna cut it. So I'm going to cut off that stopper bead. Now you want enough of your beads so that it's going to come up and around. So I'm going to take them to there. So I'll take off all of these extra seed beads, which won't make me cry too much because it was all done on the spinner anyway. And I'm going to add on my last one as my new stopper. So again, if your ends are quite small and you can't get it through, just use those pliers. Your pliers should always be an extension to your hands. So if you can't do something with your fingers, then you should be getting your pliers to do it for you. Moving that all the way down to the end of my strand, and that will now be my new stopper bead. That's going to hold everything in place. And we'll do the same at the end here as well. Snipping off that last one, making sure I've got enough beads so that it will all come up and around the end of my bracelet, and making my new stopper. Nice big circle. Make sure that you've got your bead secured in the middle. Good morning, Django. Django's saying hello to you all. Usually curly, but today it's Jang. Okay, last one. He's not normally here when we do the videos, you see, so he obviously just wants his little say. Move all of these up. And then your last one, last little stopper. All the way round, adding in your needle, bringing it down to the strand and tying that off. And now I'm going to tie all 3 of these together just like we did with the end piece as well. So I'm individually knotting my 3 sections together, the center and the 2 ends. And just make sure before you finish it that none of your tension has come out of your bracelet. So I'm going to tie all 3 of my sections together individually, and then we will also bring them all together to knot so that we can secure in as well. Pliers through, front to back, rotate that round, and that will bring them all in. Needle in, and that's going to bring it all the way down to your beads. And another one. There we go. And then we'll do the same on this one as well, on your far side. Then you're going to bring all of them together, knot them all together as one piece, and then they will be ready to add in and glue into your cap. So it's super simple, just a case of knotting them and securing it on. Would it not be easier to go through the last seed bead twice? Well, then it has a runner, you see. So just like you would with your bead weaving, let me move back a bit so I can see you. You would do that to add a stopper bead onto your weaving, but your monofilament is so slippy that if you do that, they just slide backwards and forwards. So with your tension, if I'm then tightening up my necklace, I find that, my bracelet, sorry, I just find that they slide too much. So I just want that little bit more of a secure finish. Plus I then know that I've got the knots in there, and if my necklace, my bracelet gets pulled on, they're not going to move. Kitty, is there any chance of a blue bead bundle, please? Kitty will have to be the one to answer that. We have got the teal. That's probably the closest that we've got. So I'm going to finish this off. I'm going to wear this one today. I think it looks really lovely. Wore my khaki top just in preparation. I do love these colours. Go for colours that you will always wear, which I think is really lovely, because when you've got an involved make like this, and it's a real showstopper, but it can be casual or dressy. So go for your favourite colours. Do share your pictures with us as well. If you've really liked this and you're going to give it a go, don't forget to join our Totally Handmade by Totally Beads Facebook group. So if you go to our Facebook pages, question, what size clasps have you used? These are a 4mm end cap. Kitty has put the links on them as well, because you'll get 2 of your gold and 2 of your silver as well, so you can pick your colorways. You're going to be able to use to create multiple makes out of this. If you want to do a necklace, just make sure that your middle piece is the length of the necklace that you require, and then your outside sections are 5 times the length. I used almost all of that length today, so my tension was also a little bit tighter. So just make sure that you do that as well. Leanne says, what a nice bracelet. Thank you so much. Thank you, Leanne. Really hope it's something nice and different for you. Give it a go. Join the group. Share your pictures. Let us know what you've been making. Kitty is going to be with you tomorrow. And then we will be back together next week. So double the trouble, I'm afraid. But we'll hope to see you there every day at 10 o'clock. Enjoy, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And I will see you later in the week. Take care. Bye.